I'm here with Lisa Krigsman, who is one of our private hybrid clients in DPO Pro, the Ultimate Photo Organizing Masterclass. And what that means is that she has access to the full course, our entire community, all of our resources, all of our bonuses, as well as some private coaching. So we're going to hear from Lisa exactly what her experience has been like in the program. Thank you, first of all, for agreeing to share your experience. It's always helpful for potential students, to hear from real people, as you are a real person. I'm excited to, for you to share your perspective. So let's start there. So you are actually a professional photo manager, but you were just getting into the business when you joined DPO Pro. So what made you decide to join the course?
I had the honor of seeing you speak at a conference for the
Oh,
photo managers,
that's right.
which
Okay.
is, yeah. So I attended a conference that is focused on individuals who do photo management, both professionally and for fun. But I saw you speak. I think a couple times. I think I might have even been at a Remo table, which was a breakout session
Hmm.
essentially. And I was so new. I was drinking from not just one fire hydrant, but it felt like
All of them.
four,
Yeah.
all from the different angles. And I'm a learner, and
Hmm.
I know that I needed structure in how to move forward with my education in this new world of photo management, because a lot of people still don't know what it is. Um, and I was just speaking to someone earlier, and I describe it as once you like peek into the world of photo management, it's opening up Pandora's box
Hmm. Hmm.
and having someone help me navigate,
Yeah.
all the things that were coming at me. Uh, I looked into your DPO Pro program, and while I thought it was a lot of money at first, I 100% knew it was the right financial decision for me to invest in myself to get
Yeah.
my business off the ground.
Yeah, and we have, for anybody who doesn't know, we have three levels right now of DPO Pro. We have a basic one where you kind of do a self-study that doesn't have support included. Then we have a middle tier, which is the VIP tier, which has monthly group coaching included. So you can come to the, coaching calls and answer, ask questions and get your answers and all of that. And then we have the higher tier, which you also get private coaching with. And that's what you chose because you wanted a little bit of maybe extra guidance in specifically like how to set up this new business and how, going forward. And that's been, I want to say it's been like a year and a half, 2 years ago now that you joined. Or how long has
Yeah,
it been?
I want to say I'm approaching, I think
Two
year two. So I
years
think I came in
ish.
halfway through. Yeah, and I took a hiatus because I
Hmm.
did get a real job. Uh, where I couldn't invest in myself or my business, and
Yeah.
realized that it wasn't the right fit for many reasons, one of which was trying to listen to the DPO Pro monthly calls while at my workstation,
Yeah, that's right.
realizing that this is what I wanted to do way more than what I was doing for my day
Yeah.
job.
And how have you found the DPO Pro calls, like the monthly group coaching? A lot of people tell us that that's like one of the main reasons why they really enjoy it, because it feels like you're not alone, and you realize listening to everybody that's in there that you have the same questions or they have the same questions as you do. How was that for
I
you?
really enjoy it, and I'm getting a lot out of it, even though a lot of the times the questions are not where I'm at yet. Like a lot of them, are Mac based questions, and I'm a PC user. Um, so it may look like I'm tuning out because I'm doing something else, but I'm taking it in because I'm not a Mac user, but I know now that I will eventually have a Mac user client, that I'm getting more familiar with the Mac universe through these
Hmm.
calls.
Hmm.
Um, and I also love it that I have the opportunity, like when I have a blazing question, I get it in, and then, I have me time with the group, uh, where I also recognize that a lot of people are having the same question. So I like the opportunity to chime, to pop in once a month to other people who are at various different levels, because I recognize that photo management comes with such a level of tech knowledge that we
Hmm.
all can't be expected to know. And
Hmm.
I one of the reasons I appreciate this group is that I suffer from imposter syndrome. And
Mm.
at least I know, like, I have a client right now who just passed off a phone to me, and I've been upfront with her going, I'm going to tell you upfront, I don't know how we're going to fix this, but I know because I'm a member of this group that I can pose it to individuals, and there are such brilliant people on
Yeah.
these calls, including yourself, but it's just this like, it's not one person solving a problem, it's a
Yeah.
whole
It's a
village.
group, yeah, group effort sometimes, which it has to be because you can't know everything. That's
Not
exactly right.
not in
And
this field.
that is such a big hurdle for newer people in this industry because they feel like, oh, how am I ever going to learn everything I need to just to be ready to start my business? And it's like, no, we start the business and then we figure it out because otherwise you won't you need to come across the problems that you have to solve. Otherwise, all the hypotheticals are not going to help you. It's not going to work.
I think hearing that from you more than once was really important
Yeah.
because um I didn't know where to begin to learn.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's been interesting, like the clients that have been finding me. I'm on my second letter scanning process,
Hmm.
and I'm like, I can do that. So it's like I didn't have to worry about learning, the ins and outs of, I don't know, insert any one of the 927 billion things there are to learn about. I'm like, I can scan letters. I
Hmm.
have the ability, I have the know-how.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, Carolyn helped me. She held my hand when I opened up Lightroom for the first
That's
time.
true.
Because I thought that was the most terrifying thing. And now I'm opening up a new Lightroom catalog for every client I have. And I just laugh sometimes. I'm like, I'm laughing the first time I did this. I had to have my hand held.
It's a
Um,
scary process sometimes. It
was
really
terrible.
can be. Yeah, it can be. And that's the thing. It's like it's just really getting used to it and getting the flow of things. And it's interesting that you um say that you're a PC, but you feel like a lot of the questions are Mac because the I think that is actually true. The interesting thing about that is that the majority of people in DPO Pro are actually PC users.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
But it
Most
doesn't
of the
come across that
questions.
most of the questions are actually Mac based, which is very, very interesting. And the course is for everybody, right? So you can come in
Right.
no matter what you have, and we'll figure it out for you. But it's interesting that that is the dynamic that is going on in there. And up front, I am a Mac girl. I have been a PC girl in the past as well, but I have just found that they're all the creative fun things that you can do with photos, they really come to life on a Mac. Um, Content creation and all of that, it really lives in that universe. Now, that's not to say
I was
I
going to say,
have to,
I have never had an issue.
that's not to say that you can't do it on PC. Of course you can. There's plenty of PC amazing programs out there too. But for me, that is the choice that I am with. So I teach the course from my Mac, but it is for both. And we do show, I have PCs as well, and I do show all the tutorials and everything in PC. It's just interesting that most people are in there with the PC, yet all the questions that we get sometimes lean more towards the Mac universe. And maybe that's why. Maybe it's because those users don't know as much about
Well,
Macs.
I
Perhaps
don't know.
that
I
is
guess
why.
I
It's
guess
fascinating.
my gut would be, I get, because when I'm not a photo manager, I'm a database manager,
Yeah.
and databases run, I have found in my, professional experience that databases run best on a PC. And to me, the way I approach photo management is I'm just organizing a database.
Yep.
And I feel like as a professional, this is why I don't have a photography background. I don't have an illustration background. So when I meet these super creative types, I'm like, I'm so behind the eight ball. I mean, I'm a former like recovering scrapbooker. I once upon a time called myself an artist, never professionally, but I have these skills, but my business know-how is database management, which is PC. If I had to work a job where I had to work in a Mac in a database management environment, I would probably pull my hair out. So my suspicion is, like, I'm coming that from that angle, but
Hmm.
a lot of people who don't, let's say, run databases would by default have a Mac. So to me, it's not surprising that a lot of the people who are coming to you who are Mac users are, everyone says it's easier to operate a Mac. I'm laughing. I have three monitors on my screen right. One is a PC, one is a Mac that I'm borrowing for work. And I sometimes want to pull my hair out. I'm like, why can't I right click? Why can't, like, where do I find this file? How do I
I get
enter
it. I get
it?
it.
So
Yeah.
I
I
guess,
made the
yeah,
transition
like
more than once. Yeah.
yeah, the average, not, I don't like the average household user is probably going to have a Mac, which if they're becoming pros, like we all, I don't think anyone like sets out to like wake up one morning and be like, I'm gonna be a new professional. It's like I'm the default family archivist. I'm now responsible for scanning and being responsible for all my family's photos. And in the process, you find courses like Carolyn's or the photo managers or these other outlets.
Hmm.
But we've all started by doing it ourselves, like for ourselves first, and then some of us, are crazy and decide to try to make a living off of it.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that there is no right answer here. It just, there isn't. And that's one of the, you know, things that make you feel like you're drinking from the fire hose, because every person that you meet might have the need for a different solution. And I think what my course aims to do is to take the process of organizing and distill it into this clear cut formula that works no matter what universe you're in or like what tools you're using. And the organizing process, which I'm sure you know, is always the same no matter what angle you're coming from. And I wanted it that way because I didn't want to teach a course on just how to use a Mac, because that it just isn't fair. I wanted to make a course that can be applicable to everybody, no matter who they are, where they're from, or what tools they're working with. And I feel like that's kind of what makes it successful, because it's not just about Mac versus PC. It's not just about Lightroom versus Apple versus something else. Um, which is where I have found people to get stuck. It's like, what program do I pick? I don't know if you
Right.
felt any of that in the beginning, or did you have like a set, I don't know, chest of tools, like when
I
you
I
when you
had
were
worked
starting?
pro I had worked professionally with Lightroom
Okay.
before coming into photo managers. And so, and to me it just, and reading from the fire hose and being on the Facebook page for the photo managers, everyone talking about Lightroom, Lightroom, Lightroom. It seemed like the right thing being on a PC, having already had that background, and so now I'm trying to learn Mylio and still actually find myself returning to Lightroom because now I'm deep into photo scanning, and I have yet to actually read another software that allows you to post process scan photos as best
Hmm.
as Lightroom. But there was that learning curve because when I was using Lightroom for work, all I was doing was tagging.
Mm.
And at that time, it wasn't faces, it was corals, sponges, and rockfish. So uh, but I still have intimidation with Lightroom,
Yeah.
especially now that I'm doing photo management, because now I have to figure out you the
Yeah.
cropping of the photos, the
Yeah.
corrections, and recognizing that I'm creating more work now for myself because I haven't been able to figure out the workflow yet. Um, but as far as the other tools, like I am still terrified about which deduping software because there's so many. And to this point of a lot of the calls do focus on deduping, but they are Mac based. And I will say that this is the one issue PCs do have. It feels like you have to buy an add-on for everything, where
Hmm.
Macs do lead towards that creative nature.
Hmm.
Um, and and so there's a knowledge gap for sure, but to the point of there's a software for every issue
Yeah.
out there, and
Yeah.
having the resource then to be able to come to the monthly calls or post a question on the forum, it's really helpful because I don't, again, it just goes back to I don't have to be the expert.
No.
A question coming to you soon is I'm going to scan these set of photos, and I know that their letters going out to three brothers, and he uses a Mac, but his brother uses a PC. And I have to figure out, I'm going to put both files on a thumb drive and be like, you do that. I get files like that all the time. Do I know how to do that? I don't. Will I know it by the end of next week? you bet your bottom dollar I will. And I know that, I mean, I could
Yeah,
Google it,
that's
I could
funny.
YouTube it, but I know I can come to the forum first and be like, this is the situation I am. What's the advice? Where do
Yeah,
I go?
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. And I don't know if that has been your biggest aha moment, but I think that was my biggest aha moment back in the day. I'm like, oh, I actually can ask other people. I don't have to figure it all out for myself. So I don't know if that's been your takeaway, but it is kind of a relief to not feel like, obviously, I being the coach in this program, and yes, of course, I have co-coaches and all of that as well, but I do have to know a lot about a lot of things that are out there because I get the questions. But I would say that the reason I know a lot about the things that are out there is because I get the questions, because teaching really is the best way to figure all this stuff out and to learn all of it and to stay updated on it, because I'm helping all of you troubleshoot all of your things, which then makes me very well versed in whatever's going on, and keeping like the finger on the pulse of what's happening in the industry. So it really is a great way for me to stay updated on everything that's out there.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't the aha moment. Not always, I've often been that person who's going to raise a hand in the
Okay.
classroom. I have never been shy to ask the question. I just appreciate that I know that I have a place to go to ask the question, that
Yeah.
it's not
Okay.
just, I'm not, typing something into the Google and
Yeah.
hoping that what I get is the correct, most current, most up to date,
Right.
and vetted, that
Right.
I'm able to ask my questions to a trusted and known resource. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest value that I have from being part of this program is uh, when, not if, when I get that challenging situation.
Yeah.
Again, this is the one that's, you know, burning its biggest this is the next question, right? This is the project that's landed in my lap. And I know that I can probably execute 80% of it in a silo, but I
Hmm.
know that the remaining 20%, where if I were in a co-work environment, I'd walk down the hallway and knock on someone's door and be like, okay, now in this situation where I don't have to be alone,
Yeah.
where I can go to the forum and be like, okay, here's my question. And I know that I'm going to get a really great response, or
Yeah.
many in this case,
Yeah.
or in the past, I've gotten
Yeah.
really good responses for questions I have asked.
Yeah. And are you the type of, it sounds like you're the type of person then who, because you're not afraid to ask questions, that you invest heavily in yourself, you invest in coaching, you know what that brings and how far that gets you. Would you say that that's the type of person you are? Because that's definitely who I am. I mean, I spent a ton of money on myself and investing in my own professional development and learning, and so I can keep growing and get better and better. And I think the people who do really well in our programs, overall, not just DPO Pro, all of our programs, I think those are the people who are, willing to see, like, actually, could I be doing stuff better? Um, how can I grow faster? How can I get to where I want to go in an accelerated time frame? Right? I feel like that's you.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I would rather help. The way I look at it, it's kind of like win-win, right? I'm paying you, but in return, I'm getting a wealth of knowledge. And um, I don't need to invent the wheel. It's not
Hmm.
even like why would I reinvent the wheel?
Hmm.
Why would I spend my time falling into either traps or keep running against a wall
Yeah.
if I can? And again, it's about personality, right?
Yeah.
And again, I met you virtually and I just knew, I was like, I want to get to know her. She is this bright, shiny, you know,
Oh.
person who is really knowledgeable and easy. You share your information
Hmm.
easily, right? Like you make it very digestible. You are very approachable. You're very warm. And as a result, I don't feel intimidated. I mean, I'm not a shy person by nature, but I don't feel bad about asking a question if it's, I
Yeah.
don't want to say
No.
the wrong question, but if I'm coming from the wrong perspective, I
Right.
know that I'm not going to be made to feel small or stupid for asking the question. Um, and as a small business owner, I've never done this before. This is brand new to me. This is, again, the aforementioned. I'm not coming from a design or a business. I'm a marine scientist, and that has not, I always like to tell people, it has not prepared me for the real world. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm learning a lot of, I don't want to say life skills, but definitely business skills
Hmm.
that I did not need to have professionally
Right.
for most of my adult life. And so, yes, I have spent money on coaching both from a knowledge base, I'm now paying for someone to help me so that I can get my newsletter and, blog and so that I can expedite it because there
Hmm.
are these experts out there
Yeah.
um, who are sharing their knowledge and information. And yes, it comes at a price, but if I can accelerate my place in this business world,
Hmm.
why would I not take advantage of it? Because the return is already there.
Yeah.
And then just one of the things to go back to, by signing up, it helped with that. By knowing that I have the form, it just really, I can't stress enough the imposter syndrome
Yeah.
because I will freely admit to clients that I don't have the answer. But the nice thing is because I'm a member of the photo managers, a professional organization that is a collection of other fellow photo managers and your course, that there isn't going to be a situation that I'm not going to be able to find the answer to. And
Yeah.
to me, that's worth so much because I may personally have the day to day, I don't know how to do this,
Hmm.
but I will eventually learn how to do this because I
Yeah.
have the place and the destination and the resources to learn what I don't know at the time that I'm in this situation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that feeling of, oh, it's okay if I don't know, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Just that reassurance, I think, is huge. Um, it's changed a lot in the last decade, I'll tell you, because when I got started with this, we didn't have nearly the resources, and I could have used my own program. I didn't have
Right.
it. But that is the nice thing about, I think, going into this industry and this profession at this point in time is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It was a very new industry and it's still a new industry, but it's not as nascent as it once was. It's not as unknown or untapped as it used to be a couple years ago. I think now people get it. They see the problem, they get it. We used to have such a hard time marketing and figuring out how to get people to understand what we do. And now it's still hard, but it's a little bit easier to explain, what the issue is. I think people are starting to come around to what that means and what we can do for them and all that. So that's really good. Um, so just to wrap this up, if you were talking to somebody on the fence who maybe is thinking about starting a new career, who maybe uh, wants to do this for themselves, like what would be your advice now looking back on the last 2 years?
Oh, I would unequivocally without a heartbeat say do it. Because not only are having you like in my back corner, but just the community, the resources, seeing the familiar faces on the
Yeah.
monthly calls, and just the library. Like right now, actually, I have the legacy video up right now because that's the direction I'm personally wanting to take my business right now, and so it's just been
Cool.
fun to like go back and watch that and see the faces who showed up in real time and be like,
Hmm.
I know these people. So even though, I may never ever meet these people in person, you get to know their personalities
Yeah.
and their styles and you jump on these monthly calls and you get to like learn about their family and where in the world they are. So the fact I could probably go on for like an inordinate amount of time unnecessarily. I would say do it if you're on the fence because if you're going to choose a fire hydrant or a hose to drink from, this one it's so manageable. You have so access to like there's modules that are available, the
Mm-hmm.
courses that are laid out, the monthly calls, the workshops
Hmm.
that pop up. Um, and again, the forum. I mean, to me, the there's there's the structured, but the on demand knowledge too of I have a question, I have a
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
burning problem.
Yeah.
Um, the investment in yourself, regardless of if you're doing it professionally or just because, your mother came into town and dropped a whole other new box of photos at your doorstep. Knowing what to do with it is, to your point, like in the last 10 years, so much has changed, and where we are right now, to be poised, to be prepared, to know what's going to change in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Photos aren't going away. And to me, I really honestly feel like they're like them. I mean, I tell this to my clients, but I honestly believe this. This is the most important assets we have. Like, you can have a fancy car, you can have a nice house, um, jewelry, clothes, whatever. But I truly believe that photos are the most valuable thing we have, because without them, what denotes our time on this planet?
Hmm.
And which is
Hmm.
why I really want to push the whole legacy thing, like encouraging people, regardless of who they are. They don't have to be as Steve Jobs or,
Oh yeah. Everybody
they,
has a story.
yeah, we all have stories, like, don't you want to know more about this photo behind me? Or, you know, up until 10 minutes.
I now know that that's Iceland. I recognize Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the story that took place right before this photo, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's a story I want my nieces to know, because again, just yeah, again, because it goes like, I don't have kids. Who's gonna really care about the photo of this, double rainbow? But my nieces need to know that there's a story that involves a glove, a horse, a pile of poop, and my mom, aka their grandmother. Um,
That's
because
awesome.
now don't you all want to know?
Now we all want to know the story. Yeah. So we're gonna have to invite people back and tune
Right.
in again for that story, because that's the whole beautiful part of photo management, of like
Right.
all these stories that gets preserved and told and all of that. And that's what we all need for our family, not just for us. Again, we're thinking long term, like we're playing the long game here. This is generations down the line,
Yeah.
and how we take care of the world and our place in it and why we were here and all we accomplished and all of that. Those stories really matter.
Absolutely.
And it's just great that more and more people are coming into this profession and being successful at it. And yeah, it's just it's about time. I want to say it's about time. This is,
Yeah.
should have been bigger a lot sooner, but now we're finally starting to see and feel momentum from so many professionals coming in.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I just take a takeaway too. Minutes before this call, I was at my dentist, and you try to have those awkward conversations with your hygienist while they're all up in your teeth, and asking, how are you, what's going on? And I we just got a new library in our town. I gave a presentation this past weekend utilizing the new library. Everyone's in a hubbub. It's a beautiful space. And I explained to her, as a photo manager, I gave a talk to explain what that is. And immediately, because you tell someone you do photo management, they're like, what is that? And you're like, you have your elevator pitch. And then she spent the next 15 minutes telling me about the boxes of, you know, like really old photos, and that they just need to be done. And so once someone starts to understand that, again, professional or not, that what to do with photos, because now I feel like people are recognizing the stories are important, but we're losing so many stories because
Mm-hmm.
generations pass, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the people who tell the story, who know the stories of the old photos, right? And now everything, it's like, you want to know a story about a photo, you can log into Instagram or Facebook. The story is there with the photos, but photos,
The old ones, yeah.
pre-Facebook don't have the stories, and the people who know those stories circa 1863 or
Mm-hmm.
1972, as I point to the room that has a box of these photos,
Yeah.
being able
No,
to
it's
capture
true.
those stories.
It's true. And also making sure the story's correct. Like that's a conversation I've had with several of my clients, who are in maybe more of a public eye, and they feel that the stories that are being told are not necessarily always correct, because it's crowdsourced from other, places as well. And it's like, okay, so who can tell your story correct? It's you.
Right.
It's the
Exactly.
people who were there. It's the people who know what happened. So it's really important that you're the person that tells that story, because otherwise it's subjective to whoever's picking up, the next piece of it, and it's not always right. And I don't know. It's there's something about that legacy piece that's really important to
Right.
me, that of like, if you were here and you did good, like we deserve to have those stories preserved. You deserve to have that memory kept alive.
Right. Or the big takeaway, actually, and it was a comment I think that I think it's fresh in my mind because I just watched it on the Legacy call. Um, Not even that a story is right or wrong, but depending on when that photo was taken and whose perspective the
Yes.
memory is from, right?
Yes.
Like I have this one photo that I used to love to share. It's an embarrassing photo, but I have my one story for it. And then I recently, well, when I was beginning to tell this story as part of my presentation, I think I shared it with my mom, and she was like, "Yeah, that's not the full story."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, that's funny." Like, because I was a kid, right? And I have the memory that I have retold myself in this story. But when I cross-referenced it or shared it with my mom, and her comment, it's not that my story was wrong. My
Right.
story was my
It
story.
was from your
It
perspective.
was from my perspective, but having like at the adult's perspective or just someone else's perspective, I just think that there's so much to that
Yeah.
too, you know, from a healing point of view, from a humorous point of view, but from a family point of view, we all have our stories. And yes, right? So if we don't tell our story in our voice and something happens to us and our family members are left to tell our story, are they going to tell the story we want them to tell? And so
Hmm.
that's the messaging I've been giving my clients.
Yeah. I really like that too. And it's worth thinking about, And so for anybody who's listening who maybe isn't sure if they want to take on the task of organizing their photos and getting the stories told, it's 100% worth it in my world, which is obviously why DPO Pro exists. Um, I don't want anybody to have to reinvent the wheel. Like, the information is there. It's there for the taking. You just have to join us and have fun. And maybe bite off a little piece every week, or every month, or
Yeah.
whatever fits your schedule, not all of it at once. And sometimes I feel like that too is a thing where people just want to do the sprint and set aside, a day or two or a weekend or whatever they say and go, yeah, I'm just going to get this done. And it's just, this is a bigger thing, that requires ongoing interest and a bit of, um, long-term thinking, I guess is the word, and a little bit of patience, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it when you get in there.
I would even recommend too, like someone before even diving in on the content is jumping in on the calls and listening to what
Yeah,
people are saying.
yeah,
And
that's true.
to get an idea of what strikes a chord for you, because there is so much. Either, I mean, if you're doing it because, again, a family member has, unceremoniously identified you as the family historian, then you have a starting point. But if you stumbled across this for other reasons, know that like I said, I go back to the beginning of Pandora's Box, the call that I was on before this. I'm also a member of the National Association of Productivity and Organizers. And when you join NAPO, they kind of push for you to get your niche as a residential organizer. And it was like, oh, I don't really, do I like closets? Do I like kitchens? Do I like garages? And nothing had really
Mm.
resonated. And then I discovered the photo managers and the conference. And when I logged in, it was like the lights went off, the confetti, and then I stepped through that threshold of, oh, no, it's not find your niche because there isn't one niche.
Yeah.
It's there's so like it just goes back to there is so much, and this platform, the DPO Pro program, just really makes the terra firma a thing. Like it's just there, it's solid ground to walk on while you navigate this
Yeah.
new realm of
Little
information.
GPS, never hurt
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Lisa, for coming on and sharing your experience, and for, inspiring potential other professionals. It's going to be so interesting to see where your business is in another few years. Hopefully, you're going to continue to be a part of our community and all that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's just fun to see new colleagues come into the profession and like blossom and go on and then do their thing, like the baby birds that get to fly. It's so fun. So
And let's be clear,
yeah,
this little baby bird is still in the nest going, feed me, feed me, feed
it's
me.
okay.
She's not ready to
but
fly
you're
yet.
definitely getting there, and it's so fun to watch and be a part of that too. So thank you for anyway for sharing your
Oh,
takeaways with
oh,
everybody.
you're
And
welcome.
yeah, again, if anybody's listening interested in joining DPO Pro, it's dpopro.co or theswedishorganizer.com for more information. I'm happy to help answer questions about what's included, and what we do and all of that. So check us out if you're interested, and again, reach out if you have questions. And thanks, Lisa. I hope to
Yeah,
talk to you again
thank
soon.
you. Yeah, thank you.